told my dad, and I turned to him and I said, I know why I want to play the game of baseball. And he goes, oh yeah, why? I want to play the game of baseball because of the millions of kids who were aborted in their mother's womb, and I'm sure at least one of them would have loved to play the game of baseball or do what I'm doing at this point, or really anything. So that's why I play the game of baseball.
Hey, how about I play baseball because I'm good at baseball and baseball is fun to me? How about that? How about we just say something normal? I straight up told my dad the reason why I work at Olive Garden is because of all the millions of babies that were aborted in the womb that wanted to work at Olive Garden. And I don't know if they all do, but I'm sure like at least one of them or some of them probably want to be a server at Olive Garden, because when you're there, you're family, and they didn't even get to have a family, and that's why I'm a server. Well, I'm working as a busser right now, but I'm gonna work my way up so that eventually I can be a server. In all seriousness, I do fear we are entering a new intellectual dark age. For instance, did you know that during the last dark ages, people used to die of something called side sickness all the time? They would get this really intense pain in their lower right abdomen, and it would last for several days, sometimes several weeks, and then they would die, and nobody knew why. They just called it side sickness. In order to understand what was going on, we would need to be able to perform autopsies. We would need to be able to cut open the dead body and look for irregularities in the internal organs and compare them, to the organs of bodies that did not die from side sickness. It's appendicitis is what side sickness is, turns out. It's when you have an inflamed appendix that eventually ruptures and then fills your body with toxins and you die. But we couldn't know that without opening bodies up and looking at them and studying them. But it was really hard for doctors at that time to perform autopsies because depending on where you lived in the world, you would be charged with necromancy if you were caught meddling around in a deceased cadaver. People back then thought that you were doing dark, evil, satanic spells on bodies when you were just trying to understand what killed this person and is it preventable. I had appendicitis just a couple months ago, and if I had lived several hundred years ago, I surely would have died of side sickness. But these days, they just saw it with a CT scan and laparoscopically popped it on out of there. It's a relatively easy thing to treat now, thanks to the innovations of modern medical science. It's the same thing with childbirth. For the vast majority of human history, if you got pregnant, there was a very good chance that you or the fetus you were carrying, or both, were going to die somewhere in the process of carrying that fetus to term. The reason why modern conservative Christians don't want doctors meddling with pregnancies is the exact same reason why Christians from the Dark Ages didn't want doctors meddling with dead bodies and doing autopsies. It is this chronic, regressive attachment to anti-intellectual, magical thinking. People in the Dark Ages thought that a dead body was a sacred thing, and doing anything to that dead body was a sin. It was an affront to God. It was satanic work. It was necromancy. And make no mistake, it is the exact same thing with modern conservative Christians. They view pregnancy as sacred. If it is their God's will that the pregnant person should die in the course of carrying that fetus to term, so be it. If it is their God's will that the fetus should die, so be it. If it is their God's will that both should die, so be it. But none of this is necessary. We have so many modern medical marvels at our disposal. We have ultrasounds and x-rays and MRIs and CT scans. We can look inside of a body and diagnose what's going on in there without having to open it up. We can look inside of a pregnant person and diagnose whether or not that pregnancy will be viable or healthy. And we haven't even gotten to the question of bodily autonomy yet. Do you have autonomy over your own body. And conservative Christians love to say, yeah, but a fetus has a body too, so a fetus has bodily autonomy. Why should the pregnant person's bodily autonomy take precedence over that of the fetus? It's not a chicken or egg question. It's not like who was there first, the person with the uterus or the fetus. We know which one was there first. The person with the uterus obviously came first, and the fetus is technically an invasive parasite, and the fetus does not have the right to use the body of that person as an incubator for its own survival without that person's consent. If I need a blood transfusion to live and you are the only person in the world who has my specific blood type, I do not have the right to come take it from you by force without your consent. You still have the bodily autonomy to refuse. But these are ethical, philosophical dilemmas that we simply cannot have serious or productive conversations about as long as we are bogged down as a species by anti-intellectual magical thinking. We can't have a serious conversation about the merits of bodily autonomy or modern medical science with this guy who thinks that a magical space wizard put a soul into a fetus and that soul really wants to grow up to play baseball. Notice that he didn't say he wants to play baseball for all of the kids who were murdered in school by gun violence. Actual kids who actually existed, who actually knew what the fuck baseball even is. He doesn't want to play baseball for all the kids who grew up in abject poverty, whose parents couldn't afford to put them through the required training in order to give them a shot at having a career in professional sports, because they were too busy just trying to make sure that their kids could eat. And this, my friends, is modern conservative Christianity in a nutshell. I am so unbelievably heartbroken at the idea of someone not being forced to carry a fetus to term against their will. However, once that fetus is born, I don't give a fuck what happens next. I don't give a fuck if they are mowed down by an AR-15 while playing hopscotch at school. I don't give a fuck if the government kicks their family off of food assistance right before Thanksgiving so that they can build a $250 million ballroom where the White House used to be. I don't give a fuck if masked men descend from helicopters into their bedrooms in the middle of the night and zip tie them and kidnap them because they're brown. I don't give a fuck about any of that because my stupid, demented cult says I don't have to.
You always wanna know why people like me got a beef with the broke guy, the redneck, red hat wearing white type, the self-identified, patriotic till I die kind. Well, where to start?